Hello, this is Erica from Simply Craft, and this is another of the tags from the workshop Demo Plus, and this one is another of a texture tag really. So again, there is some drying time involved in this one, so I've got to first put on the crackle paste and then leave it to dry. So we'll start on the other side. Now this is one of the MDF tags, nice and solid, and what I've done is I've painted it with a coat of the fresco finish in chalk, and I'm just going to finish this side as well. So just give it a coat of the paint and then we can speed dry that. So really quickly. Doesn't take long, and you can see how much coverage you get from just a little bit of paint. You don't want to put too much on because it just takes too long to dry then. You can see just that minimum coverage is all that you need. So it's done. We'll just dry that now. I'm not going to worry about it not being perfect because, like you can see, the layers that go on top is really not going to matter. So I've used this technique on another tag, so I'm going to use a different colour scheme on this one just to show you a different look. It's a little bit more grungier, and for this I'm going to use limoncello and royal blood. Like I said, these are colour stains. They're dye-based ink that are water reactive. They also contain walnut crystals, which is the brown. So the more you leave the water reacting with them, the more brown that you will get. If you want to speed it up and keep the brightness of colour, you heat it straight away and dry it off. So first of all, we'll put everything else out of the way and we will spritz. And then go in with our colours. I've just put a little pierce hole in the top, makes them much easier to work with. So that's our limoncello. This is our royal blood. Oh, look at that. Nice colour combination going on there. Add more water to really bring the colours out. And like I said, then heat gun them. But the limoncello, you've got quite a lot of brown in the limoncello, so you will get, and that blue, you have to be quick because you can see it's quite strong. Just get some tissue and dab some off because you never quite know how much you're going to get. And you can always, like I said, reactivate it and you'll get a different pattern again. Use the colour that's on the tissue just to even it out. I love the look that it gives. It's really, really textural without too much effort. If there are any walnut crystals, you can just wipe them off, but I think mine have dissolved because I got quite a lot of brown in this. Right, we'll put that to one side. There we go. Now I'm going to keep this one nice and simple. I'm going to choose a nice big texture stamp that is from Seth Apter from the Paper Artsy range. It's a really lovely texture and nice and easy. It doesn't always have to be complicated. Just using my black VersaFine. Just make sure you've got loads of colour on there, because you want it as strong and dark as possible. So then I'm not even going to use a block. I'm just going to press it down onto there. And then any bits that need extra, if you can see, I'm just using the tip, and I'll put some more in there and a little bit more there. And we are done. So that is the back of the tag. Just clean that up. Again, heat set it because it's VersaFine. And that's our first side. So on the other side, I'm literally only going to be able to do the first bit until we wait for it to dry. So once again, we are using the Deco Art Media crackle paste in white, and it's just a case of scooping some out. It's lovely thick stuff, just going for it and spreading it onto the tag. Not perfectly, but in patches, and some thick areas, some thin areas. The thicker it is, the bigger the cracks, and then the thin areas, they're nice thin tiny cracks. And that is ready. Like I said, can't be heat set. You must wait for it to dry. There's no other way than to wait. It's going to take a good couple of hours for that to dry. So I'm afraid, have to just be patient and just wait for that one to work its own tricks. Okay, so this one's all dried now, and you can see the lovely texture that's on it. So the first layer we're going to put down is the Paper Artsy paint in Caribbean Sea. So I'll just squidge some out, what's left of it. Such a lovely colour, that's the problem. Don't need a lot. So make sure it's covered, especially it goes in all the little cracks. See, it's good to know the processes because that is so different to that. It's hard to believe that they'll be the same thing. But I'm now going to just dry that. I can use the heat gun for this. Now you can see that when you put paint on top of the cracks, especially a thick acrylic paint, they kind of disappear. So the way I got round that was to use a sanding block. Mine is a bit dirty now, but and I just sanded it back. So there you can see, it brings all the cracks back up. and it gives you an interesting technique. So just clear the decks again. We're ready for the second layer. Now the second layer is, whoops. Now the second layer is the Deco Art Media Antiquing Cream in raw umber. So just give it a little shake and pour some on. You could use a paintbrush, but as per usual, it's fingers, much easier and quicker. And you just want to paint it all up. Don't panic that you're covering everything up, because you will be removing it again. So it's not the end of the world. Right. So it's all covered up now. Now we need to let that dry, but again, you can speed this one up. Right, that's dry, and at this stage it looks a bit of a mess, but the thing with antiquing cream is that once it's dry, it can be removed again with a wet wipe. So this will never ever be permanent. It can always be removed. The only way you make it permanent is to put a sealer over the top, and you can choose either the gloss or the matte glaze. Put it on top and then it's permanent. But for this I want to remove a lot of it, because I just wanted it to show in those cracks and give us another kind of look. So it's a mix of using a wet cloth and a dry cloth till you get the look that you want. I mean, I like to leave the darkness around the edges. If you take too much off, you can just, with your finger, obviously over a paintbrush, you can put it back on, dry it, and then you can start again. This is quite a forgiving medium because it allows you that chance to manipulate the finished product. And also, as you polish, can you see it starts to shine because it is a wax, so you get a lovely high shine finish on it as well. Oop, as you don't throw everything everywhere. This is what I love about the antiquing cream, actually, more than that you can remove it, that it just polishes up to a high shine. Hopefully you like a bit of polishing, because arms be aching after that. Let's just take a little bit off there. Again, just polishing it up. Ooh, throwing it. So there we go. You can almost start to see landscapes in it. It's really weird. But that's not the end of it. The next thing I want to do is add embossing powder to it. And I'm going to use that gold that I've already had. But I want to show you this one. It's called Iced Enamels. It is an embossing powder, but it's a little bit different in that it's got sort of different chunks to it. So you get a kind of rough texture with it. So obviously, just to help me, let me get a piece of paper. Put paper underneath. Just to help me get it stuck down to begin with, I'm going to use the Versamark, but just with my finger. I'm just going to put it in places. And the powders can stick to that. I mean, this is a very random kind of process. And you can also cover up the bits that you're not really happy with and use it to fill those in. And then let's wipe everything down. Don't want to put any powders back in. And then it's just a case of sprinkling some of this on. You can go without having to use the Versamark underneath, but I just find it just holds it, especially if you've not quite got it in the right place. So put a little bit of that on. Now these powders probably won't be tipped back in because I'm going to mix them, so it's worth bearing in mind to not put too much on, because you don't really want to spoil your powder. Put a little bit here. Right. Now, if you can see in this one, I've added some texture by pressing a stamp into it, pretty much as I did with the triple embossing. So I'll get my stamp. The stamp is from the Eclectica stamp. I just love this because it's such a lovely fine text, but it's obviously not going to be used as text, it's just texture. So I'm just going to put some Versamark on it, just so it doesn't stick in the powder. And now we're going to have some fun. We're going to heat this up. Might as well just put all those spare bits back on. Never quite know what it's going to turn out like, so let's give this a go. Just going to do that little corner first, and then push the stamp into it. And there you can see where it's taken the embossing. You might find as you're doing it you want to add more colour, so we have this handy, and as I'm heating I can put extra on. Now that's nice and thick. I'm going to press the stamp in again and see what happens. Ah, there we got much more texture. Let's do this piece up the top. And again press the stamp in. There we are. Oh, and I heated it up again. Just to prove, if you heat it up again, it's not the end of the world, you can just re-stamp it. Just don't heat it next time. Again, just have the stamp ready to go. Oh, lovely. And just add a little chunky bit there. And I'm going to leave that like that because I love that texture that's forming there. But as you can see, it's messy fun. You never know what you're going to get, and every time it's different. So that is my completed tag.